Do you want to let the person inside know to start recording? Okay, okay guys, we'll be starting. So, is everyone ready to go? Everyone ready to go for this? Okay, so first of all, I introduced myself earlier, but I'll do it again. I'm Teron, and my topic today is we'll be comparing homebrew and organized play. Organized play covers stuff like AL, Pathfinder Society, but for this presentation, I'll be focusing mainly on AL in D&D 5e, because that's what I have experience with. So the next slide. Before I begin, of course, the disclaimer, when you compare things, obviously, it's a lot of matters of opinions. You can make specs here and there, but the majority of it will also be opinions. So most of these are derived from my opinions, my experiences, they are basically mine alone. So I'm sharing this with you guys, but you guys are free to take with it as you will. You can agree with it, can support me, maybe you can set up a cult and worship me. I'm not going to complain. Or you can just take all this advice, throw it in the sea. That's perfectly fine either. But either ways, I hope you guys will learn something from this today. So next up. So first of all, I would like to ask everyone here, which do you prefer? Do you prefer homebrew games or organized play games, AL games? Any preferences? No particular. Oh, okay. Well, okay. For those that prefer homebrew, could you perhaps raise your hands? Don't betray me. Okay. Okay. What about those that prefer Adventure Sleep, AL? Anyone? Organized play? Yeah. Okay. It's okay. So it would seem the majority, am I right to say, actually has no preference over one or the other. It's okay to play anything. Yes, that's a good way. Yep. So yeah, that's actually a really good thing because you see, while it's okay to prefer one or the other, we all have individual preferences. It doesn't mean we can't learn from both sides. You see. So with that, I would, with AL, a lot of people like to say it's restricted, it's not fun, it's boring, it's railroady. You have experienced the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah, I've heard that all before. I used to believe that also. I won't lie. But okay, after DMing for AL, playing AL modules, I've realized that yes, the modules like you've seen earlier, they have a preset story, preset events, but each DM runs it differently. So like we've discussed earlier, some of you may run it as the straight up race. Some of you may run it as a jungle race. Some of you may run it as death race, where the last person reaching is the only one alive. So, yeah, exactly. So there's plenty of ways to run an AL module. It's actually mentioned in the beginning of each module. We are empowered to make changes to enhance the fun of the module. So even though you might play the same module with a different character, it will probably be a different experience if you're playing with a different DM. So I would suggest that even as you hear all this stuff about AL, just take it with a grain of salt. Take everything with an open mind. At least maybe give it a try even. You might not know, you might end up actually liking AL more than you think. Yeah. Next. All right, first of all, an overview of organized play. Basically, public games, AL games, that's games that we actually host in shops like, say, here, Grey Ogre Games, or perhaps other shops as well. There are fixed dates and venues for each session. So generally, you use stuff like Warhorn, maybe Meetup, you search for players, you set up tables, get people, you come at a certain time, and you come and play. And for AL in particular, there are limitations on what you can create your characters with. So I'm not sure if most of you have heard, but the classic one is PHB +1, which means the player's handbook plus any one additional official supplement, like Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, the newly released Sanatas. What was it last time? Elemental Evil. Yeah. So you pick stuff from the PHB plus one of this to make your characters. And of course, there's no flying races because flying at level 1 apparently is quite bad. So we want to remain grounded for now. The rules are fixed also. So we have actually, you follow the PHB rules with only very few optional rules allowed in, such as the grid, where we all know figurines maps. 5e was mainly meant for theater of mind, in which a lot of it is the imagination, but you can still use a grid, like classic role-playing games. So another thing I also like to mention about AL is they have what we call the drop-in, drop-out system. So when I mentioned about the fixed dates and venues for each sessions, you'll be playing with different players every time. So people register for each session. So technically this means if you're busy in real life, which most of us probably are, either school, work, whatever, on the days that you're free, you can choose to sign up for a session if one's available. And if you're not free, it's simple. You can't sign up anyway because otherwise you'll be kind of like taking up a slot that someone else could be playing with. So with that, with the drop-in, drop-out system, each module itself is sort of its own individual story per se. Some are connected, some are not. So think of it instead of as a long campaign, it's more of one-shots, individual one-shots. So you can play in one of those, move to another without any issues. You have to hand wave a bit of things in your mind, like how did I get to Chout and back to Master in one day? You probably have to hand wave a few things, but it doesn't mean we can't have fun with that as well. So, and yes, with regards to the modules, most of them were structured for different hours of time played. The main ones are 2 and 4 hours, and the occasional 8-hour module, which is you will find at the much higher tiers at level 11 onwards. Anyways, next up will be the Homebrew. Yeah, Homebrew, first of all, I can clearly, most of us know it's pretty much freedom. You do whatever you want, limited only by your DM. So you'll find a lot of things can vary. The venue, the durations can vary. Maybe first time you organize at, say, you organize at my house. The next day, the next session, maybe it's at Sean's house. The next session, maybe it's at, say, Fawa's house. And the next session is at Tampines Mall. Who knows? And you play for different amounts of times as well. It depends on your players. So none of this is fixed per se. Same with character creation, same with rulings, house rules, all that. That's all homebrew. Anything goes as long as your DM approves. You get your DM to approve that you can wield 2 great swords using your intelligence, go ahead. I have no idea. But go ahead. I mean, you get your DM to approve, your DM's word is law in your game. And one thing about this is for homebrew games, you're likely playing this as a private game. So you'll probably have a fixed group of players, a group of friends, same players, the same PCs every time. So that's not necessarily good or bad compared to AL, where you have different players every time, different party compositions. You may have some recurring players, some of us that, well, love to play AL, come down almost every week, every day. Seen a lot of people around, made a lot of good friends, but yes, it varies. So now, from this both overview of homebrew, from overview of the AL, we can, a quick comparison of them is, could you go to the next slide as well? Is, okay, first of all, what's fixed? Like I mentioned earlier, for homebrew, what's fixed is, well, we have probably a fixed DM, the fixed players at the table, the fixed party characters. While organized play, AL, we have the story content is fixed, the module that you play, the venue where you play that, the duration of the session, this is all fixed. Well, duration can vary. I've seen 4-hour modules stretch to 7 hours. So be prepared for that. The next will be what's different. I think you can start to see a pattern here. The table looks very familiar. What's different for homebrew? The story content is different. You can have medieval fantasy, modern fantasy, sci-fi, Star Wars, anything, everything. Venues will be different. The durations will be different. Real life will probably get in the way. So those will vary. And for AL, you'll be playing with different players all the time, different player characters. Maybe you'll play a full paladin party one day, you play a full wizard party another day. That's perfectly legal. That's perfectly fine. That happens. And one key thing here about AL is you'll play with different DMs every time. So each DM, of course, will DM in our own different style. So from that, we as aspiring DMs, as players also, we can learn from everyone as well, which this is another good benefit of AL. You learn from different players, how they manage different things as well. I mean,
like I mentioned earlier, steal from them, steal literally from them.
still,
Like I played Marion's game for the dinosaur race. Like I'm going to steal his idea of having pole on the dinosaurs. I'm going to rejig it from there.
I might even steal it myself as well.
Everyone just steals from each other. It's perfectly fine. If anything, like imitation is sincere more flattering.
Yeah. And not just steal ideas as well, steal them, improve on them. Next up. Okay, so at this point, I would like to ask also with you guys, what sort of game do you all want to run? Do you all want to tell a story? Do you all want to role play? Do you all want to play a game? This sort of decisions will also factor in whether perhaps you want to play AL, you want to play Homebrew. Of course, you can play a Homebrew game like AL, but if you want to play AL per se, I mean, AL is meant for a specific, consistent experiences across everywhere. Hence why we have the rulings. So I could go with my characters in AL from Singapore. I could go to say maybe Malaysia, Philippines. If they have AL games there, I will likely have a similar experience, a consistent experience. I could go to the US, attend a big con. I would not be too out of place there because I've played AL here. It's kind of familiar there. But if I were to go over there and play homebrew games, well, it might be a whole different cup of tea altogether. So with that, what sort of games do you guys want to run? Like, anyone would like to share any? Any? Yes.
I generally come from a background where I enjoy games where people can use social interaction to achieve their objectives.
Mm-hmm.
Come from a background where I used to play games like Legend of Five Rings and Vampire, so you can actually kill people by just saying the right thing, the right person at the right time. So if, for example, I were playing the dinosaur race,
Mm-hmm.
I would be going around running the officials, looking for people who want the Green Riders to lose and encouraging them to sabotage them, things like that. And I would encourage my players to do that.
So it will be more of political intrigue, that kind of games as well?
And I tend to play rogues, monks, and things like that. So
Ah.
I don't like the front approach, I like the sideways approach.
I see. So you're the shadow rather than the straight up. I see.
I'm Sasuke, not
I think that's the reason why they like him more. Anyone else would like to share what sort of games they like to run? Or even what sort of games you like to play?
I guess it's more of like
Yes?
running and playing are two different things for me. Playing is more on I like to enjoy like sometimes when you encounter hardship that sort of thing. I like that sort of intense moment because like it's so intense to the point like you cannot make the right choice, but because both choices seem wrong in your opinion. It's just literally the internal conflict that will be actually very difficult for character growth.
Ah, see.
And when I run, it's more of like I asked like just now. He mentioned that you know how you know the players well. How do you want to give them an enjoyable experience? I would like to do something that caters to my players more. But at the same time, if they want something like I want a puzzle, then sometimes I will get a bit confused because there are not many puzzles out there that I can reference off because I'm too scared to say the least that what if the puzzle backfires and then that entire party dies.
Ah, I see. Yeah. Yeah.
Just tell me very quickly about that, right? About your worry about like puzzles and not being sure whether you know how to set a good puzzle. We'll talk about that slightly later. We talk about resources you can use to find all these things like new kinds of puzzles. Right? So hold on to that thought, okay?
Yeah. We'll be sharing that later as well. So,
Something that's critical, there's this, you have to look into the mirror and then you see the words, but it's not available.
Yeah.
That sort of thing that is really intriguing and it will engage some of my players. Not all of my players, some of my players.
So you've seen the episode, right?
Yeah.
Steal it. Just steal it. Just steal the shit out of it. Yeah, I agree. It's a brilliant episode. That was one of the episodes that really defines why it's kind of like a puzzle situation. Because you're not just there trying to whittle down the big fat boss's HP. You need to find out his name, so to speak, right? So Yeah, just steal that idea.
Yeah.
I'm sure Matt Mercer will just thank you for stealing it. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Well, like Sean said, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. But yeah, it's a good thing that to actually know your players. And I think later on, Marion will be talking about different player styles as well. So yes, with that, let me go on with now the most important thing for both Homebrew and AL. What can we learn from each of them? Actually, for this, I've created a Google Doc because over the past few weeks, I've been just typing down a few thoughts for myself. I'll probably send the link to all of you guys via the emails you have given from to sign up for this in the first place. So with that, can we open up that doc? Yeah. Okay. So of course, first of all, everything here, take it with a grain of salt. And two, everyone has individual preferences, like I mentioned before. But it doesn't mean we can't learn from both. I mean, sometimes the best person to learn from is your enemy. Anyways, yeah. Can we increase the size? Yeah. Yeah. Is it all good? Okay. So, I mean, first of all, my first thought, of course, from having played both Homebrew and AL games, neither is better than the other. There's pros and cons to both. So, we should learn from both, adapt to our own play styles. And yeah, one thing I've experienced with Homebrew is that there's a lot of freedom, but too much freedom per se. What do you want to do next? There's no structure, perhaps. Like, what are we doing here? We're just wandering around. Oh, maybe we enter a quest just luckily. But if not, if we can just spend the whole session wandering around town. And maybe that's fine to some players, but others, they might find it a bit dull because nothing's happening. So freedom is good, but how much freedom? Sometimes you need a bit of structure to push players along in the right direction. You don't really need to prod them per se, but sometimes it's good to have. And yeah, like we mentioned earlier, the DM, as long as you're consistent with your rulings, that's more important than the accurate rulings. Be consistent with your rulings, be fair to your players. Oh, by the way, with this, everyone, if anyone has any thoughts, any disagreements, whatever, please feel free to chip in right now. We can edit this as we go. So yes, I was saying, do you want to tell a story? Do you want to play a game? Do you want both? What's the ratio you all want to do? That will influence the type of campaign, the type of game you have, along with managing your players' expectations. Do they want to play the game? Do they want to tell a story? Do they just want to sit around the table and laugh? Yeah. And with that also, if you think about it, we are all busy people. So sometimes a long campaign may be hard to maintain. I've played homebrew games where the campaign eventually fizzled out because everyone couldn't meet up at certain times. And players kind of lost interest, which is, yeah. So there's nothing wrong with doing a short campaign, say 5 or 6 sessions, bi-weekly, weekly, that's also fine. Do you want to do a sandbox campaign where kind of like you have a whole open world, do what you want with it? Or do you want a like railroaded, kind of like the classic MMOs, JRPGs, you follow the story that the DM's prepared for you? Maybe some players will like that. But maybe you can mix both as well. You start with a bit of railroad, gets to a point where you reach the main city, and then from there you go nuts. So just keep your minds open to any idea, every idea, adapt here and there. The best advice I can offer really is keep an open mind. And yes, any comments so far? Nope. Okay.
So far you actually mentioned that ALs
Yeah.
are like one shots.
Yes,
Similar,
sort of.
Similar to one shot, right? How like there's some times like where you keep on like when the DM tells the story, the DM you'll get the characters hooked and it suddenly becomes a long track.
Mm-hmm.
So like how do you make it interesting sometimes? Because that's what I have issues with because I'm using Spartan kit right now.
Yeah.
And
Lost mine.
Lost Minds of Pandora?
Oh.
so there are some times where I like just now I don't give myself the flexibility.
Mm.
And sometimes I feel that it's actually going downhill because as a DM, because you have to juggle not only the characters, but you also juggle the NPCs, take care of their passive perception, take care of how their roles are, like their initiative roles. Then it
Yes.
and their attacks and their attack bonuses. So that's where sometimes it feels too overwhelming for as a DM personally saying like there were a couple of times where I also see people like the DM also cannot cope with the stress. That so far so much so that they actually had like a player help to take down how much damage that the NPC takes.
That is actually perfectly fine. You see, a co-DM actually can be a really good thing. It can help you with either with RPing situations or in terms of battle, can help keep track of initiative, keep track of damage, keep track of conditions. I played with games with my friends where we'll get one of the persons to do it. Maybe we'll pick one random guy award inspiration and yeah, you're the scribe for today.
Actually, can I just say something very quickly about that as well? I think something else you want to ask yourself when you're saying something like, I'm having difficulty keeping track of all the extra attacks, all the mechanics, how the spells work. I think something you want to ask yourself is, why do I feel that there's a need for me to keep track of exactly how many extra attacks each NPC or each enemy has? Because if it is not critical to the experience of the game and your player's experience, that each enemy has exactly that number of attacks and each enemy maximizes the tactical use of all their resources, then I would say that there are many situations in which it's probably not super important. So you can run an entire game, I think, come at the end of it, and then realize, as I have done before, at the end of it, shit, this enemy actually had multi-attack. I did not use it throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you ask yourself, like, did it matter? Did it impact the player's sense of fun? Did they say that, damn, this fight is too easy, it's not interesting? I think it goes back to what something you were mentioning earlier, understand what your players want. Because if your player, what they're in it for is the power fantasy of being able to obliterate enemies, some players want that power fantasy, as opposed to the player who wants that challenge, like you want the entire party 1 HP by the end of every encounter kind of thing, then perhaps it isn't super important for you to be able to track exactly how much HP each person has. I've also spontaneously doubled the health of enemies before because it's like sometimes I have a big bet, just walk into the room, immediately the rogue like double crits him if I double attack or something like that. Yeah, it would have died in one turn, but suddenly his HP mysteriously doubled. And the big man's like, ha, you can't do anything to me kind of thing. So again, as I mentioned earlier, probably don't ask yourself what is the reason for each of the things you are doing, and ask yourself if that is critical to enhancing the fun of the game. Because I think some of the things that we commonly think of as being crucial probably end up not being so crucial. Just be more flexible, I think. That would help.
One more. Yes, please. No, you first.
Are we gonna roll off here?
Yeah, let's roll off now.
Okay.
Okay. So I understand your fear. It is very real. I believe everyone who has GM here before has had that same fear. I ran my first game of Dungeons and Dragons 2 years ago. Same module, LMOP. Lost Mine of Fandelver for 7 friends. I wanted to emulate the Critical Role style because they had 7 people in the campaign. I thought for my very first game I was Matthew Mercer. I'm just Marion.
Mercer.
I'm just a scrub, yeah. I can just wear a face mask and then, but no, it was crap because I spent too much time over preparing. I spent too much time putting so much pressure on myself to want to be the best like performer. Because personally, I like to perform for my friends. I like to perform in the most flamboyant kind of way because I feel that it's the best way I can grab my players. And I ended up putting so much emphasis on that, I forgot to see how much fun my players were having, and I thought it was a failure. But my friends said it was great. And so from there, I just let myself be okay with making the mistakes. I let myself be okay with forgetting that this ancient blue dragon has a lightning breath weapon of 16d10 damage. That kind of thing. Yeah, it happened. It will happen. It happened. It will happen again. Even now, after 2 years, this Saturday I'm gonna Sean is and his party is gonna assault a castle of a cloud giant. Maybe I forget that the cloud giant can actually cast spells. I don't know. Maybe I forget that she has a pet dragon. That kind of thing. And maybe then they will obliterate
Redcon.
Yes, yeah, you know, the kind of thing. So, in the event you forget, and in the event they obliterate your enemy in 6 seconds, because each round of combat is 6 seconds, right? He just walks in, he didn't even get to roll initiative, right? It's okay. Because it's okay to give him a second form. It's okay to give him a final form. Because why? Because why?
It's like we are playing darts though.
Yes. Because why? Nobody knows what's behind the screen. Nobody knows the little man behind the curtain or the little man or woman behind the curtain. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to change things up on the fly if you feel they're not dramatic enough. Just say you want to tell a great story. You want those hardships, right? Make them earn it. But you obviously have your little strings to pull. Nobody needs to know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah. The important thing also is, like we all have said, learn from the mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yes.
You.
Completely different track. So you want to finish it?
It's okay, because just what I wanted to say was, learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how we learn the best. You might be beating yourself up over it, but that's also the way you remember what not to do again. Yeah.
So my question is around AL and how accommodating is it of alternative solutions to what's presented in the module? So, like, for example, my instincts in the race would have been to, if I found out about it in advance, we might sneak in and hamstring or cut the ankles of the other teams.
Oh. Where's PETA when you need it?
But you know, things that sort of thing, or circumvent the whole race by bribing the official to replace the talisman and just take it.
I would think for AL it would depend on your DM, but I as a DM would be willing to allow that. It depends. You probably have to make server checks. You probably have to sneak past. Probably have to do all the bribery and whatnot. But I would think it is possible. That it's just one way to run the module. That, like I said, we are empowered to make changes, enhance the fun. So while it depends on each individual DM, it is definitely possible. I think as a DM, I would allow that. Think you too?
Yeah. I definitely will allow it because I think it's giving you guys a fighting chance. No player wants to feel like they are being constrained in a game that's supposed to be fun. Sure, there are some games where you can lose and it be fun for everyone. But that's a story for another time. In this case, you want to win not in the way that's presented in this paper.
The module, right? Yeah.
The DM does not see whatever you're trying. It's okay. Then it's for the DM, you must be willing to expect the unexpected. Because as the saying goes, no plan ever makes contact with you, ever survives contact with players.
Nothing.
If you guys as players have done this, have been guilty of this, right? You guys have been the ones making the DM pull their hair and secretly cry inside. And sure, when you take up this speed of DMing, you'll feel the same way as V3 probably. And it's okay. Sorry. So personally, I will allow it because I think it gives you guys an added advantage. Why not? Because AL is essentially, if you do the thing, you get the thing. You get the goal, you get the XP, and you go home. If you don't get it, you probably won't be swept. And I don't think that's what we want for public scenario like eventually.
Yeah.
If I can offer a slightly different perspective on that very quickly, sorry, is that I am not so sure that I would allow it because I think the first concern for me if I were DMing a table which is suggested this, right, would be for me I would want to look at the other players and figure how on board they are in this. If the other players are all like super enthusiastic about doing the race, then I might not allow you to circumvent the race entirely. I might give you some advantage in the race for doing these kinds of things. Like the official, like bribing the official might mean the official tells you the location of like 2 or 3 of the tracks, and then I give you advantage on your first few rolls to get over the tracks. I might not allow you to circumvent the race entirely. If all of the players are super into this idea, I want to go like sabotage the dinosaurs, I want to go like pour Nexus Thief into the other races like Cambridge, that kind of thing, then sure, that's okay. But the other thing you want to consider is that within AL, and this is one of the things to acknowledge about AL play, there are hard constraints on what the DMs can do. For example, if you say that I want to go through the markets of chalk and I want to steal all the magical weapons I can find, right? That is not something we can allow because by the nature of the module, you don't get magical weapons from there. But there are things you can do as a DM in case your players want to go that route. So if your player says, for example, as actually happened in my game the other day, player says, I want to go and pickpocket the NPC who's giving us the quest because my flaw is that I'm a kleptomaniac and I want to steal from everyone. Then I say, then he rolls like a 20 on his slate of hand. Then I'm like, okay, well, then I'll say, okay, you fish out from his pocket a coin pouch containing 20 gold pieces. But the module says I can only give them a total of 80 gold pieces as a party for the entire thing because it's a hard and fast rule. So where do I get these extra 20 gold pieces from? Halfway through the adventure, that gold necklace they were going to find on the ground is now longer there. That was not 20 gold pieces. Now they're never going to find it. Now it's in that bag which he stole from the guy. So there are ways you can get around it. But I think as DMs, you also have to acknowledge that there are limitations of what we can do in AL, and that's just a feature of the fact that it's organized play because of the reasons that Wizards of the Coast envisages are this common experience. So we have flexibility, not unlimited. If you want unlimited flexibility, then we got to go for homebrew. That's just the way things are.
Actually, just not your idea, right? It's awesome, but you have to consider one thing, other players. Because you're talking about a rogue going in to do, yes, that's totally a rogue thing to do, but what about a paladin? Your cleric is going to climb in. Perhaps they can distract the officials, but the guards until they start talking to the guards. You can take changes, but figure out how other players won't feel left out.
So that's one of the challenges with a homebrew game. The most common game that has that problem is Shadowruns. So if everyone knows Shadowruns, there's a decky. It's a futuristic sci-fi game where you can play a hacker. And whenever somebody is going off hacking, in the early editions, everyone would go for coffee, go dinner, come back. So for me, when I do, if either you try, I would either encourage get involving the rest of the group in or role playing the rest of the group. So maybe you get the fighter to be a distraction while you sneak or whatever. But the paladin will disagree with you, and then you have a few minutes of banter, so the paladin feels involved, but then doesn't participate. Or you really finish it over 30 in a 30-second break. You just say, okay, make this check, make this check, make this check. You're done. So that you don't hold back the rest of the party. And then you moderate, like you said, instead of giving them the full success, then advantages, or whatever, if not all. So that's one of the things that is a problem, is because if you are with certain kinds of players, everyone has a different strategy when faced with a problem.
Definitely, I'll address that in my topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing about this is also depending on DM skills, right? You can actually work around the players themselves. So even though your group has the kinds of players, maybe some power gamers, some role players, all these kind of things, if you are confident enough about it, you can actually work with them together in teams. Like for example, for him, let's say he wants to go sneak off, you can always give him what he wants. But at the same time, the rest of the players, let's say they want to do the race, you can let them do the race as well. Just like he will do his thing, they will do their thing, and then somehow at the end of it, they'll come back together. So this is, at the end, it's down to the DM to handle it. But if you're not confident enough in handling it, of course, you will always want to place your heart on restrictions. Yeah, so be aware of what you can or cannot handle as well. Because in the end, you may get overwhelmed by all this people, theory codes, and everything stuff.
One last thought about this. We want to emphasize once again the importance of communication, and there are times where I think it's okay to break the role, break the storyteller role, and actually talk to players as people and explain what your intent is. Later we're going to share some resources, one of which is a video series by this guy called Homebrew, who he's very experienced DM, he has a lot of excellent resources, and in one of his videos he explains how he had his players caught in this situation where they had been like caught by the enemy and then they were being brought to the fortress, and his intent was to provide them an opportunity to escape once they were locked in the jail cell. But the players of course did not know that. So along the way they were talking about how they were going to try and break free, and he knew that this would end in disaster because there's no reasonable way they would have broken free along the way they would have all gotten killed. So what he did, he said was, he told the players, look, the intent of the story is that you will have an opportunity to escape. For now, let me switch into what you call cutscene mode and just like narrate this part, and I promise you that you will have a chance to do what makes it fun for you all at a later point. So this is something you can use if you feel it's warranted.
Does anyone else have anything to say?
I have another question.
Yeah.
Just from your experience, which type of style has more immersion to the players? Are those
Immersion.
meaning like they really feel the role, feel your character?
Okay. You want to take that?
Okay. For me, I think I can take that one by one. But for me, I've had immersion with both homebrew games and with AL games. It usually sometimes it's both up to the. It's a two-way street. It's both to the players and the DM. The players, if they are invested in their characters, it will work from there. The DM can also work alongside it, even through the limitations of AL. So from there, it's a two-way street for me. And Marion?
Yes.
What?
Okay. So for me, as a DM, I find myself most immersed when my players are more immersed. No, because okay, I say this because it applied to me in both AL and homebrew. Surprisingly, as a guy who prefers homebrew, I was quite astounded with some of the players at my table for other games. It really depends. So AL is more of like a gambling kind of situation. You roll 46, maybe you get all the good ones that show up at your table. It happens. Yeah. So for me, because I like to take on the role of whatever NPCs are in the module itself, be it AL or be it in my home campaigns. I like to try my 100% to emulate the kind of character that is there. And some adventurous modules are written quite well in the sense that you can really empathize with the character just reading. One of the games I actually roleplayed a pregnant tiefling woman. Okay, this is a character archetype I've been longing to play for the longest time. I've always wanted to experience what it would like to be a pregnant woman. No, because okay, for me, I want to experience different types of characters. And no better way to experience that as a DM, right? So I reading her role playing characteristics, I was actually quite I was really immersed reading. And when I got to the table, my players, they were okay. I was lucky, I guess. They were the ones that really wanted to sit down and just talk with me in character, obviously. And so we spent what a good 1.5 hours in that 3-hour module just role playing our characters. It was fun. I was immersed. And the same can happen in a home campaign. Just it really depends on the player. So yeah.
I think I largely agree with what Darren and Mary said. I just want to add on two very quick things just to push back a little bit. First is don't overestimate the amount of control you have. As a DM, we have a lot of control, but we don't have absolute control. There are players who will never get invested in the kind of game you want to run, not because you are wrong or not because they are wrong, but because perhaps your styles just don't necessarily fit. For example, some people are power gamers. They want to min-max their character. They want to do 800 damage with a single hit. That is what brings them fun. I'm not saying that's wrong, but perhaps that's just not the kind of game you want to run. And in such a case, it's okay to say that we disagree about what creates immersion for both of us, and that's okay. And you might not be able to satisfy this player, and I think it's fine. Don't beat yourself up over it. Second thing is, don't underestimate the importance of you as a DM having fun as well. And that means that if you're speaking to a power gamer and they want you to change your game to be a power gamer friendly kind of an environment which caters to power gamers, but this means that you are not having fun because you're the kind who like to RP like Marion does, then perhaps you might just have to acknowledge that this is a situation where it is best that you guys don't play together. You can still be friends and not feel that your gaming styles suit each other. There are many people who will enjoy your style, and you should find players and work with players and talk to them to make sure that your styles fit. And don't kill yourself over needing to cater to every single person at your table because that's not going to happen. But Marion will talk more about that later.
Yeah. Just one last thing to add about that. You really, like Sean said, you really can't please everyone. So actually, that's one of the last parts I had over here, all the way down. Let me see, where is it? Yes, the most important rule right there at the end. Regardless if you are playing an AL game or homebrew game, or you are DMing either, you need to have fun. You as a DM, you are a player as well. You're just in a different role. But if you are not having fun, it will show, it will bleed into the game, and in the end, no one will have fun. So as a DM, when you DM, please do have fun. So yeah, Does anyone else have anything to add? If not, anyone?
Okay. Another very important thing. So for AL and Homebrew, right? Actually, the AL modules, someone was asking me just now, are they written like one shots? They are. They have a very one-shot nature because of the drop-in, drop-out system. So you can literally pick up any single module, be it part 1, part 2, part 6, part 17, and just run it as it is. Right? And if, as in you can run it in a home game, in home setting. If you want to introduce this to new players, it's fine. It's actually, some adventures here are actually the perfect starting point for new DMs. And later we'll share with you some recommended modules that we think would be perfect for you guys.
Okay, by the way, some quick notes on immersion. Immersion depends a lot about knowledge and communication.
Yeah.
If you don't know the player characters well, you will not be able to interact well with them as a GM. If the player doesn't tell you what you're looking at, the players cannot interact with each other in a meaningful way. So sometimes if you think the players want immersion, it's good to start off with what do you guys see, describe yourself to each other, say hi to each other. And at least they know roughly roll. It sets the stage if they want to role play. If they don't want just roll dice, roll, it needs to go.
So so one thing I do for my games when I run AL is I start off by having the party introduce themselves to each other, and then I ask them to describe one distinguishing physical characteristic about each of their characters. So they may not have thought of one, then I tell them invent something on the spot, and that will become distinguishing for a character. Some of them say, my character has pink hair, my character smells really awful, kind of thing. And then that will become something for the characters to use to interact with each other. One player will say, my character smells really awful. And then one other player will say, whenever I go near him, I hold my nose, that kind of thing. So that creates these little moments of immersion. I don't think immersion is one big thing. It's built up from lots of little instances throughout the game.
Okay, is there anything else you guys like to add for this? Okay, with that, I think we can bring this one to a close. I will send you guys the link to this document when I get back with all your emails, so you guys will at least be able to take away something from this. So, okay, with that, thank you for your attention. How long more do we have? Do we want to take a 5-minute break? Yeah. Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break again, then we'll come back for Maren's topic.